Great. Well, again, thank you for joining me today for this Science Hub coffee chat. Um, I always like to start with a kind of a simple question to get the ball rolling, which is what got you interested in your field and what got you interested in teaching?
So it's actually a great question. I was actually pre-med when I started at UVA. And I thought I wanted to make myself the best candidate ever. So I was going to do pre-med, I was doing engineering as well. And then I realized when I got into pre-med that this was not for me. It's not what I expected. I wasn't gravitating to the content as well, but the engineering side I really loved. So I definitely went into engineering, kind of stayed in the medical track or pharmaceutical track. And then I got a research opportunity as an undergrad. And that sealed the deal for me. That even just the mentorship that I still talk to him to this day, Professor Green from UVA really is the reason I'm here today. It is sticking by him and doing those research opportunities. I loved it. I fell in love. And that real application and the real helping someone really made a difference to me.
That's great. And so, kind of based off that with the different courses that you teach, and I know we've discussed this before this conversation about having such a variety of students who are coming straight from high school to take a class with you. Some are currently in high school and taking classes with you, maybe. We have students who have maybe been off of taking any formal education for a few years. What are the strategies that you've seen that help a student become successful regardless of where they're starting from in your different courses?
Well, I like to tell my students, someone who does well in STEM is not the one that gets it right the first time. That's never the case. I didn't get it right the first time. No one else did. And it's just not true. And it's not the person that gets all A's. It's the person who persists. And that persistence looks like reading your textbook, going to those extra office hours, asking your professor for help, because we realize that not everybody had the same background. We don't have the same background. I definitely can relate to a student that is kind of playing catch up, because when I got to UVA, even though I was used to getting A's and being top of the class, I wasn't. And so I had to learn how to learn. And so I think that's the biggest thing students have to get over. You're not supposed to know it all when you first get here. So make those connections and do your part. And most instructors want to see that and want to meet you halfway. That's my message.
That's great. So kind of going a little bit more into what you mentioned, which is to connect with you and talk to you about questions. How do you like students to start that conversation? Do you have a preference between office hours versus after class? And then with that, there's always that question of, is my question important enough? Or what if I'm not sure that it relates to this class? I'm just interested to learn more about you. Like what's the minimum requirement to come talk to you, and when is that best?
So for me, my minimum requirement is just willing to learn. I love a student who is willing to learn, and that's all it takes to show me. And I'm here to support. I will say that sometimes, depending on the day, after class, a quick question is okay. But those office hours is a lot different than a lecture. We can sit back, I can offer you a drink of water. We can talk about the course content, or how crazy life is right now and how that's affecting you in school. And we're open to that because we're human. And just as much as students have going on, we do as well. So we can definitely empathize, and we're here to support and be in that network. I love office hours. I love group office hours. I like individual office hours, because I think that gives us an opportunity to really get to know people. And when you make that genuine connection with people and recognize that we are all people, that's when real collaboration and real learning begins. So as students, just remember, we're people. We're human too. I have bad days too. I study for the same class that I'm teaching. So just keeping that in mind.
That's always great to hear. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I always think it's hilarious that I do also have to kind of review my notes because it's been a
Yeah,
few months since I've taught this class. And I'm always like, okay, what is it that I'm teaching again, and what should I expect for questions?
yeah. And I even think about when I was a student, why was this hard to me, and try to build on this. So just know that, you know, it's not this thing where we got it the first time at all. I spent hours studying to teach, and
Yeah.
it's subject matter that I know. So um, just keep on. Yeah.
So speaking to what you had mentioned just briefly at the beginning of your last answer, you mentioned conversing with students about how crazy life is, right? So in Richmond, and I think this is true whether we're talking about VCU, John Tyler, Reynolds, if you're in high school, I don't think there's a difference of where you're at, but there are competing commitments, right? Of a lot of students across our area, just they're working part-time or full-time. They're taking care of family members. They have personal health issues. How do you like students to communicate you about when those issues are arising? Does your class have flexibility for if something like that comes up, and how do you like students to approach you with that?
So I do allow flexibility because I'm a big advocate for giving yourself grace and giving other grace. But there's only so many hours in a day. And if you have other obligations, you have other obligations. So when those commitments and things come around, I just ask that you keep me informed because I'm willing to work with you. That student that might need the extra cheerleader or extra time to grasp it, that's fine with me, because to me, stretching yourself thin does not mean you're a bad student. And we have to be realistic about that. When your basic needs aren't met, when you have other things going on, you're not going to necessarily perform as well as you could have if this was your only focus. And most instructors know that. So give yourself grace. I certainly give myself grace that, hey, I'm not on my A game today, but tomorrow I'm going to get it. And really just trying to manage that. And I even talk to your instructors on how to manage this, whether it be a financial obligation, things, because there are resources not only at the college, but we're a wealth of information in our network, someone that may be able to help or take some of that burden off of you. So just remember, give yourself grace. We're human.
Yeah, I love that advice. It's been very refreshing that as I've talked with faculty at different institutions, they always have that same message, like just communicate, whether it's about the course or about your personal life. The more that you can tell me, the more that I can help you.
Yeah.
So I always love hearing that consistency with faculties, that everybody's on the same page with that. So getting into kind of the opposite end of the spectrum where, and I'm sure you're kind of familiar with this, having been a pre-med student, right? That students may be taking your course and they're always already thinking about that next step of, I want to get into a four-year institution, or I want to get a research opportunity or an internship, or the next step where I need to show how capable I am. And so I want to get a letter of recommendation or reference from a faculty member like you. What does that process look like for you to feel comfortable doing something like helping a student get a reference letter, or recommending them for a position that you might have a connection to, or something like that?
So I always tell students, I don't give just those that get A's in my class recommendation letters, because everybody's academic journey, everybody's learning pattern is different. And I recognize it's a work ethic. If you show up and you persist and you ask those questions and you're present in the moment, to me, that means just as much as ace in a test. So for me, I'm looking at those things because those are the characteristics that you're going to have to display even in the real world in industry. Do you show up? Are you willing to ask for help? Can you collaborate? Is your attitude good? So for me, displaying those things and just getting to know you as a person is definitely number one for me. The thing I try to discourage students from is asking for recommendations blindly if you never communicated with the professor before, and which I've gotten a few of those, and I've had to tell them, when we're doing that, we are putting our professional name. So please try to reach out as much as possible, because this is something, that works both ways. Yeah.
Absolutely. So then my last question for you is, how would you like students who take one of your courses or interacting with you, how would you like them to perceive you?
So so as an engineer, as a instructor, I tell people I am the business of service. I'm here to serve. While I do have a wealth of knowledge, I'm willing to share as much as possible. I'm here to support you as much as possible. So I'm here to serve. Okay. And I'm human, and I just want you to get all that you can from me, because I'm here to help. And just remember that I've kind of been there too. So that's my main thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today for this little chat. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.